Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more.
Well, it's been about, a month or more now since the Supreme Court issued its decision in the Bruen case, New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus Bruen. And it did at least two things. It was a very important case, upset a lot of people. That was good. And Clarence Thomas, Justice Thomas, wrote the opinion. It's a terrific thing. You ought to read it sometime. And what it did was it overturned New York's licensing scheme for concealed carry permits, saying you can't require people to show proper cause. Very subjective. But more than that, they went further and got rid of the entire idea of levels of scrutiny when it comes to gun laws. And it was expected at the time, that this would result in overturning a lot of gun laws. At the same time, we knew that this would be a full employment idea or concept for lawyers. And so where are we right now with that? We're seeing a lot of action taking place, and there's a roadmap being scribbled out right now. And one of the people who is scribbling out that roadmap is Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, my friend, welcome.
Great to be with you, Tom, and your listeners as well.
So, all right, we got the Bruen decision, and we all celebrated and high-fived. And over there in the corner, there's Alan Gottlieb getting together with a bunch of attorneys saying, okay, here we go, guys. We've got this decision. What are we going to do with it? So the question is, where are we? What's happening?
Well, let me answer this in that fact, we're looking at cases in various tier levels, up to maybe 4 tiers. Okay. But on our tier 1 is basically the Bruen enforcement to make sure that the Supreme Court decision is, in fact, adhered to. And we have 6 states with may issue permits that really are right in line of fire for the Bruen decision. New York, Maryland, Massachusetts, California, New Jersey, and Hawaii. And so we have to monitor to see where we're going with these. Now, in California, of course, the Attorney General has sent out a letter saying that the enforcement after Bruen, focusing on good moral character, is no good, and that they can't do that anymore on their permit system. And in Maryland, the governor has basically said they have to comply with the decision. In New Jersey, the Attorney General has basically stopped the enforcing of the justifiable need requirement to be able to get a permit. And, of course, in New York, they've gone crazy the other way around, where they've now passing all kinds of laws making it next to impossible to still get the permit, or if you get it, to be able to have it to use any place, which I'll come into, which comes into the area we're looking at very closely, sensitive places. And like in New York, they're deeming places like anywhere around Times Square in an X block area in the middle of Manhattan is a sensitive place, and you can't carry a gun even if you get a permit. And other states are looking at sensitive places, trying to expand that out so that you still couldn't carry the gun even if you get a permit. Another thing we're really looking at is non-resident carry. A person shouldn't lose the right to carry by traveling to another state, and I think the Bruen decision helps us out challenging some of those laws. And then we're also looking at abusive licensing requirements. We need to monitor those may-issue states again so they don't enact licensing requirements that really deprive you of your Second Amendment rights. And some of those potential issues are like setting in high fees, long wait times, First Amendment violations, like, for example, discriminating on the basis of your political views, or demanding letters of references from your neighbors, things of that nature.
Well, one of the things they're doing, Alan, is they're saying, well, you need to tell us all of your social media accounts so we can go monitor what you post online to find out if, and here's the other thing, instead of saying proper cause, now they're saying, we're going to take a look at suitability. Are you suitable? Isn't that the same thing?
In a lot of ways, it is, and we're monitoring that, and we're going to be challenging those things as well. You're right. That, to me, goes under the basis of discrimination of your political views, so to speak. And then, of course, we're looking at disclosure of identifying information. A lot of these places now want to make public records. So if you have a permit to either own a gun or to carry a gun, your local newspaper should end up printing your name on the front page. And so we're looking at trying to stop those kinds of things. And then we're also looking at the Bruen decision helps us a lot, Tom, in challenging semi-automatic rifle bans and other restrictions like high-capacity magazine bans and restrictions on magazine capacity. And then we're looking at our Tier 2 cases, which are things like excessive training requirements, not banning 18 to 20-year-olds from carrying, open carriage where concealed permits shall issue, storage laws, waiting periods that are too long, township range restrictions, the banning of self-made firearms in your own home, anti-arson laws where they're going to say that you can't have X number of guns or store X amount of ammunition. We're looking at laws that challenging requiring local FFLs to facilitate. Right now, they can't facilitate interstate handgun purchases. I think that falls right in line with the Bruen thing, where those laws can be struck down now. And again, I reference the regulation of self-made firearms, which bothers me a whole lot because that's got an awful lot of historical tradition in our country.
For those that don't know, let me explain. That's what they like to call, the banners like to call those ghost guns. They're simply guns that you make for yourself, and that's been legal for 250 years in this country.
Right. And then also we're going to be taking a look as well as some domestic violence, misdemeanor possessions, and sentencing enhancements, and nonviolent felons being banned from owning firearms for life. I think the Bruen decision helps us out in those cases. And then likewise, some of these red flag laws that don't have sufficient due process protections now are open to more challenges. Likewise, handgun rosters like the California handgun roster, which we had a suit and we lost on, we can bring back now and refile based on Bruen, where if they don't allow certain handguns to be sold in the state, and for every new handgun that goes on the roster, I think it's 3 have to come off the roster, making less handguns available in the state of California.
It's just it's a slow motion gun ban. It's what the roster is. That's all that thing. And eventually you end up with 0 guns that can be sold, handguns that can be sold in California. That's the design and the intent.
Yeah, and so, but the Bruen decision helps us out in a lot of these cases we have that are either we filed and didn't win on, we filed and there's currently in the appeal processes where either we won or we lost, but now we're going to be able to to appeal based on Bruen, as well as new cases that these states are passing laws that are trying to thumb their nose at the Bruen decision as well, that are subject to challenge now, and then we have other things. Like we need to make sure that the Freedom of Information Acts stop private people and other people from getting records of gun owners, and likewise allows gun rights movement to get records from the state to show their illegal enforcement of some of their gun laws. So we have a lot on our plate right now.
All right, hey, Alan, hold on. That's the perfect time for me to take a quick break here. I want to come back and find out what else we're doing. We're talking with Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation, SAF.org. Also, we'll talk about the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which is coming up before too long. And the great part about that is you can go to it, and it is free in Dallas, Texas. We'll have those details. 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk. I think the Bruen decision that came out of the Supreme Court, along with the McDonald decision, with the Second Amendment Foundation brought that lawsuit, are the 2 most important decisions. And yeah, Heller was important, but I think those 2 are the most important decisions in gun rights in the history of this country. We're talking with Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Alan, do you have any idea how many attorneys you have working on this right now?
Approximately 40.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, Tom, I'm glad you mentioned, though, Heller and McDonald. And, of course, the McDonald case, the Second Amendment Foundation brought, that makes all this possible. Because by knocking out Chicago's handgun ban, and then incorporating the Second Amendment through the 14th Amendment, it made it applicable to all the states, which allowed the New York State Rifle Association's case against Bruen to get to the Supreme Court, and is allowing all this current litigation going on to knock out a lot of these anti-gun rights laws all across the country. So in a lot of ways, that McDonald decision is the heart of all our challenges going forward.
Absolutely true. I mean, and a lot of people don't understand. They know Heller, and now they know Bruen, but they don't know McDonald that actually made Bruen possible. It makes all these challenges to state laws possible under the Second Amendment. So you got 40 attorneys working on this, and you got to go in different directions, and you're kind of talking about the different tiers out there. As you kind of view the landscape or look, the road ahead or whatever, how do you, and you've always had a really good common sense, realistic view of this. How does it look for you? Are we going to do okay under Bruen? Are we going to be able to take advantage of it?
Oh, most definitely. We already are taking advantage of it. As an example, in 2020 with COVID, we filed a bunch of COVID lawsuits to stop the shutting down of gun stores, gun ranges, and gun clubs. We won a lot of those cases, and a lot of the cases that we won were then appealed by cities and states, and a few that we lost were appealing. We now have a significant number of those that are still active that we, haven't been settled, and a number of the jurisdictions want to now, because of Bruen, just settle with us and not to continue to litigate.
Oh.
So we're going to win a lot of these cases without having to go back to court. We're going to get settlements that judges will just sign off on. And that's a good thing. And then we've got a number of these cases that all got remanded. Like staff had a case against the assault ban in Maryland with a petition at the U.S. Supreme Court. They chose at this point, based on Bruen, not to hear it, but to remand it back down in light of Bruen for a new decision from the lower court.
Let me interpret that. You had a case that was Maryland ban on so-called assault weapons. We challenged it. It goes to the Supreme Court. They were waiting until Bruen. After Bruen, they looked at it and said, we're not even going to hear this case. We're just going to send it back because we basically just decided this. Send it back to Maryland. You guys fix this. Take a look at Bruen, what we just did. In other words, you can't do this.
Yeah, now the hope is the lower courts will say, yeah, you're right, and comply. But again, they might thumb their nose at the Supreme Court and it may end up back at the court. But hopefully, hopefully now it will get settled. And of course, if the Maryland assault ban goes down that way, a lot of other assault bans in various blue states are going to go down as well. And it also impacts the magazine ban cases we currently have filed all across the country.
That was my next question. Could this do away with the bans on full capacity magazines?
Most definitely. And so it really strengthens our case, because the other side is pretty much arguing that, you have a constitutional right to have, a magazine that holds more than 10 rounds, but for public safety and for this and that reason, we're going to say your Second Amendment rights just don't apply. Well, that was a two-step approach that the Supreme Court struck down, and now you have to go back to the original intent and history and text of the Second Amendment. You can't bring in other social science garbage and things that we need to do this for other reasons. The other reasons don't count anymore.
This is a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about at GRPC, isn't it?
Yeah, the Gun Rights Policy Conference coming up shortly, and it's going to be a very busy weekend for the Second Amendment Foundation, because we also have the same weekend, so to speak. On Friday, we have a Legal Scholars Conference where we'll have about 60 key legal scholars and law professors and some media people who cover Second Amendment issues for major media attending. On the same day, we have what we call our AmCon Conference, Alternative Mass Media, where we work with talk show hosts, bloggers, new media people to help get the Second Amendment word out and help them on their crafts and doing better work in protecting Second Amendment rights on that Friday, September 30th. And then the Gun Rights Policy Conference actually starts first thing in the morning on Saturday, October 1 and October 2 on Sunday. So it's going to be a rather big weekend. We're in Dallas, Texas, at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport at the Westin Hotel, right outside the airport grounds.
Right.
It's free. Anybody can attend. The information is on our website at saf.org, and I'd love to meet some of your listeners there.
Well, and if they want to come, I'll meet them, because I'm going to be there. I want to attend that scholars, constitutional scholars conference, because I'm going to sit in the back of the room. I'm not going to say a darn word. I'm going to try to absorb as much as I can, but I'll be there all day for the actual GRPC on Saturday. I guess I'm still hosting or emceeing the lunch, right?
I believe so. Yes, Tom. So everybody can get a chance to meet you in person.
Unless I get fired again. Here you go. You know how it is.
You're not going to get fired.
The GRPC, for those who don't know, this is it's a gathering of the gun rights folks from around the country exchanging ideas, but a lot of this is going to be what happens under Bruen. How are we changing our approach to things and what's going on in the states? And if you have a state organization, let's make use of this. But, and here's the other part of it, Alan, let's do it smart, because there are people who are rushing in to file suits without thinking of first step, second step, third step, 42nd step, and it's the kind of things that we talk about there. Alan, hold on. I'm going to run you right up against the break here, and that's not fair. When we come back, we'll pick this up. But yeah, unfortunately, we got some people who are very enthusiastic and want to jump in and file lawsuits, and they're not constitutional scholars. They don't really understand how this works. And we do run the risk, I'm just saying this to everybody who's out there thinking, we'll get involved in this, we'll file a lawsuit. We run the risk of you having a bad suit and then getting a an adverse decision, a bad decision that becomes precedent, that's tough. If you think about doing all this, you need to engage with the people who have been doing it for decades to find out how it works and what the plan is. We'll be right back. We'll talk with Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. And he and I will be at the Gun Rights Policy Conference at the end of September in Dallas, Texas. And you can get all the information at saf.org. Alan, I've been covering this for 50 years. You've been in this for about the same length of time. I will just ask you to kind of put this all into perspective with everything that has happened. We've had the ups and downs throughout the years from Gun Control Act of 68 and all the things that have happened. Where are we now, and how do you see gun rights, as it sits at this moment?
That's a great question. I think it's sort of like divided, half great, half horrible. If you're living in a red state, it's really pretty good. If you're living in a blue state, it's really pretty bad. Overall, in some ways, it's worse than it's ever been, the attack on gun rights. And in some ways, our offensive knocking out gun laws are stronger and better than it's ever been. So it's really split. It's getting much more polarized, and the results are much more polarized as well. Right now, on a national scale, the Biden administration federally trying to do everything they can to ban semi-automatic rifles and 9mm handguns and all kinds of ammunition feeding devices, and they're doing anything they can to put roadblocks in front of the Second Amendment rights. It's really kind of tough between now and the midterm elections, where there's a lot of threats out there that are hanging over our heads. Hopefully that'll change it after the midterms, and we'll be down to maybe a half a dozen states roughly where we have problems, and the rest of the country will be solidified. So it's great opportunities in front of us, but also great challenges.
Well, we have things like California passing a law that says you can't advertise guns in any way that would appeal to minors, to young people. And already one youth shooting sports group has folded its tent. It says, we're out. We're not going to be teaching kids to shoot anymore just because we're afraid of this law.
Yeah, of course, the Second Amendment Foundation is currently challenging that law. We've already filed suit against it. And in fact, we filed a motion for a preliminary injunction against it a week or so ago. And we have an August court date to see if we can get the injunction in place. So I'm kind of excited about it. It's coming up fairly soon. It's really a stupid law. It's basically a First Amendment infringement to make sure you can't exercise your Second Amendment rights. Right. And we're challenging that one, and I'm pretty sure we're going to win that one, Tom.
Yeah, it's just ugly, but it just shows you what's going on. And then you got the Biden administration that said, we want to ban, not just semi-automatic rifles, but handguns and shotguns and full capacity, standard capacity magazines, and it goes on and on. It's like a 80 or 100-page bill that the House passed. Now they're going to send it to the Senate. And the administration, the White House, is pushing this hard. I hesitate to say that Joe Biden is pushing it because I don't think he knows what room he's in or what day it is, but somebody at the White House is pushing this hard.
Well, they definitely are, but they've got his approval to do it. And so I don't know how much energy the man has to be able to be any place and do anything or keep a sentence together. But the bottom line is that it's one of his major agenda items, and he's pushing it as hard as he can and putting all those bureaucrats at work lobbying Capitol Hill against us.
All right, let me put out the call here. I'm going to do your commercial for you. You said 40 attorneys. You got 40 attorneys working on this. They do not work for free. They do cut us some deals, but they're still very expensive. If you would like to help, people always say, I support the Second Amendment. Oh, yeah, well, go to saf.org and make a donation. As simple as that. All right, Alan, I covered that for you. Thank you so much, my friend, for what you do. I am so impressed and continue to be and always have been, and I look forward to seeing you in Dallas.
I look forward to seeing you as well and some of your listeners, so I hope to meet some of them. Thank you.
Good deal. I hope a whole bunch of people show up. Thank you, Alan.